I zonked out for a couple hours, then when I woke up, I refused to look behind that poster again. Sarah emailed me, pretty upset. She wasn't too keen on the long email after we agreed not to take chances. But then she said it was nearly impossible not to email each other. She was doing it too. Just to be careful, she said, "Erase, erase, erase, leave no trace, our relationship doesn't exist." I hate the sound of that. Our relationship doesn't exist. Have my parents won? Sarah's email went on and got a little better. Talk about breaking her own rule. I've almost never seen her write this much. Maybe she misses me after all. I think your idea with the window at Longhorns is perfect. No one's up there at night, especially around the backside of in the weeds. So it should work. I can already imagine the question if Booner catches me walking up the street with a ladder at midnight. That's not even something I want to think about. Let's see, 4 a.m. right now? I've been getting by on almost no sleep lately. I think that detective in me thinks early morning is the safest time or something. Either way, I'm wide awake, so I haul one of my dad's old ladders up there in the next hour and hide in the bush behind Longhorns. Not that anyone is going behind Longhorns to find it. I have a feeling the crow is going to move again soon. Crossbones members probably check it every day, right? If that's true, then I'm sure it would be nice to watch and see who takes particular interest in it today. Or maybe we could see someone actually moving the birdie. Wouldn't that be something? If we knew who it was, we'd be one step closer. I need you to do something for me. That's perfect spot downtown at the cafe. If you sit at the corner table, there's a nice view of the library right across the street. Just go in there with your journal or something and tell them you had to get out of the house. Marla won't care. She knows your mom, so I'm sure she'll be happy you're out of the house. Just sit there and drink coffee and eat pie and scribble. I think someone will move the signal while I'm at school. There are only a few days before they burn down the dredge. Whoever is in the Crossbones can't wait much longer. They're just as interested in the dredge as we are. We just don't know why. And Gladdy knows I'm snooping around. So does Booner. They're watching me as much as I'm watching them. I think they'll move it while I'm at school, so I can't see it happen. Let's try and be safe as we can. Even one of these emails is an invitation to get caught. Leave me a note at the Blue Rock and let me know what you find. I'll stop there on my way home and check. If it's anything interesting, I'll leave you a note on the rock and we'll go from there. Sorry to send you running around, but if we're closer to some sort of Crossbones event, as I think we are, we need to be extra careful. Hang in there. Have a slice of pie on me. Delete, delete, delete. Sarah. I'm actually sort of excited about getting out of my room. I don't like it in here anymore. I'm sitting at the cafe all by myself. I just got here. Right after I deleted Sarah's email, I went back to bed. The sun was coming up, which made me feel safer. The whole vampire thing is so right on. Darkness and evil go together like sprinkles on cupcakes. It's amazing how much calmer I am when it's light. Anyway, I didn't wake up until an hour ago, and then I went downstairs and discovered that my dad had decided to stay home from work and spend the day with Henry. Henry, is leaving tomorrow. My dad took all of last week off from work. He was supposed to take this week off too, but according to him, the place was falling apart. My dad has worked for the same company since before I was born. He's a maintenance mechanic at a paper mill, which means he works on a gigantic metal machine with a lot of moving parts. The machine is worth a lot of money. If it breaks down, it's a big deal. The problem is my dad has been there so long, everyone else is younger or less experienced than he is with the dinosaur of a machine. So if it rattles or shakes funny, everyone freaks out and they call my dad. It's amazing they lasted a week, he said when I was down on the porch. Took 2 days just to calm everyone down. But I still have time for Calabra's run. Yes, Dad had that sporting goods gleam in his eye. I mean, at Calabra's, the fishing section alone is bigger than some of the lakes I've been on. You should come with us, said Henry. He's wearing a cowboy hat I hadn't seen before. Where'd you get that hat? I asked. Henry took it off and examined it with some pride. Yard sale, $2. Can you believe that? Did you wash it? Henry looked at the cowboy hat as if he hadn't thought of that, but probably should have. Then he sat on his knee and looked back at me for an answer about whether or not I was going with him. I'm not sure I can walk that much, I lied. A trip to Calabria sounds amazing, and I totally would have done it, but I might walk downtown and back. Dad piped in. I'm glad to hear that. You're at least thinking about getting outside. That room of yours is starting to smell funny. The truth is, and that was actually okay with me. I could tell my dad wanted a few hours alone with his best friend on the last day in town. I could understand how important it was even if he didn't. You guys have a good time, I say. I don't spend too much on my college fund. Well, I knew as well as my dad how easy it was to blow months of savings at Calabria's in a matter of hours. Dad's timing seemed to be working out really well for me, since I was supposed to be watching The Crow all day from the vantage point of the cafe. But then Henry went inside and I ran a dish rag around the rim of his new cowboy hat. My dad and I were left alone on the porch. He sipped on his coffee and I sat the cup on the folding card table that had seen more action on the front porch in the past week than it had in the previous year. How's that leg doing? You ready for school? He asked. He didn't sound like he was going to badger me about Sarah, so I played along. I think I'll be okay. Seeing some of my friends will be nice. It's getting a little old being home every day. I'm glad to hear it. Sitting around Skeleton Creek will get you nowhere. He picked up a cup and looked at the drawing on the side. My dad was very fond of good coffee cup. And this one, I had to admit, was my favorite. It was white with an old Fairsight cartoon. It was where two deers are standing together and one of them has a big red bullseye on his chest. The one without the bullseye looks at the poor deer and says, bummer of a birthmark. I was thinking about how clever it was when my dad said, let me see your phone. I knew I kept it with me a lot of the time, and there was no point in trying to hide the fact that I had just then, so I gave it to him. He had become a lot savvier with phones and computers in the past few weeks. The accident seemed to wake him up to the fact that he needed to know what was going on or risk missing something that might get me killed. In a weird way, it made me feel loved, like he was willing to put in some effort in order to protect me from myself. But like I've been saying all along, I'm 2 steps ahead of my dad when it comes to stuff like this. You mean every teenager is. Most parents, even ones like mine, that are actually trying to keep up, are perfectly behind. Touched some of the buttons, obviously checking for a text message from Sarah and the callback number. I got plenty of calls from other friends I wasn't close to but stayed in contact with anyway. But he wasn't going to find anything from Sarah. I was surprised when he held the phone to his ear. He was using my phone to call someone. No answer. So he hung up and handed the phone back to me. No one's home at Sarah's, he said. If she had been there, she would have picked up. Caller ID would have told her it was my cell phone. It's a lucky thing she was gone. He dug into his back pocket and pulled out a fat wallet. This is one of the old school things I like about my dad. I love his old jeans and the prehistoric leather belt that holds them up. But the wallet, I don't know. It seems like the sort of thing I never carry. It's shaped funny, like it's been sat on for 20 years. It's worn leather, it's dark in the middle, and light on the sides. And when my dad opens it up, there are all kinds of treasures in there. Pieces of paper from I don't know where, notes about forgotten things, faded pictures of me and Mom, pennies and nickels that have been left around, marks in the leather. Here, he said, handing me 20 and folded in one corner. Get yourself a new shirt while you're downtown. Might come in handy for school. Henry burst out onto the porch with the hat back on his head, all excited about getting on the road. He wanted to be back before 2 o'clock, so they could fish the creek one last time. Dad finished up his coffee and soon they were gone in Dad's pickup, leaving the house empty except for me. I stayed on the porch, afraid to go up the stairs to my room. I was starting to hate my room. So I finally got up the nerve to enter the house. Should have been no big deal, climbing the stairs, but it took a real show and quiet. Like something might happen if I was too loud. Slowly I headed up the stairs, cursing every creaky step, till I reached the top. I looked down the hall and thought about searching my dad's room again, but I didn't have the guts to do it. Once was enough. I'd gather a couple of journals, some pennies, a copy of Edgar Allan Poe's best short stories, and I felt my pockets were the 20 my dad had handed me. That, I figured, should buy plenty of pie and coffee. The waitress my mom knows isn't working day, which had led me to consume more cups of coffee than I should be allowed by law. My hands are shaking and I can feel my heart racing in my chest. This can't be good for me. 2 slices of pie couldn't have helped. That's a lot of sugar, but I can't drink coffee on an empty stomach. I've got $10 left. How much am I supposed to tip the lady? She keeps asking me if I want a refill and I keep saying yes. So I'll have a reason to stay without seeming like I'm just taking up space. How does one become a waitress in a dead-end town? I've never even seen her around here before. I guess she's about 25. Did she move here? And if so, what the heck for? She probably married a local who moved back here. She could have known what she was getting herself into. Bummer for her. From where I'm sitting, I can see the library, but the black crow above the door is at an angle too far away. To my eyes, it's an indirect blob of black above the door. I've been scouting the angle, though, and it looks to me like Dr. Watts could see the crow from the 2nd story of his house. He's only a half block off Main Street. His window points in the right direction. I haven't seen anyone enter or leave the library all morning, not even Gladys, who I assume is holed up inside either reading something hugely boring or conducting some sort of scheme to get me killed. I think now is my best chance to get inside the men's room at Longhorns. I can't remember what happened there on Wednesdays, but something is always going on in the middle of the day. I don't think it's the quilt making club, and I know it's not the fly tying. My plan is to do this quickly and get back so I don't miss it if the crows moved. I want to see who does it. I'll swing by Dr. Watts' house and see if he really can catch a glimpse of the front of the library, and then I'll go to the Longhorns and return back here. I should be able to do all that in an hour, maybe faster, this caffeine jump in my step.